First of all, I want to say good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, as we stand here as Team HISD, I want to welcome you to Bruce Elementary. And I do not stand here alone. I would like to just introduce to our dynamic board members who have been working tirelessly since Harvey, working night and day, volunteering their service and our hours. And I want to just recognize trustees Skillens Jones, trustee Ann Song, Trustee Holly Velaseca, and Trustee Diana Davila, who's with us today. This has been these 2 weeks, I think from our students who probably was not really affected by Harvey, I think that they were probably the happiest because they got like 2 weeks at home to read all those books that they're going to tell their teachers that they read while they were out of school. And I just know that that happened. I am the board president of the Houston Independent School District, and we are so excited that today has finally come. And so many of us have hit many of our schools this morning, starting as early as 7 o'clock. I know the superintendent, he loaded the bus early this morning, riding the bus with some of our students to some of their classrooms, and just going in and just shaking hands to many of our students. And want to publicly thank all of our principals and our teachers. Remember, we still have some teachers that are not in classrooms this week, and they'll be at the Kingdom Builder Center learning teacher development. They're going to get crisis training, counseling, emotional training, counseling, while they're there, so we can disperse them back to their schools appropriately. So as we get ready to start off this school year for our staggering years, we ask you continue for your patience as we continue to work together and make sure we get all of our students back to some form of normalcy. So the Board of Education, we just want to thank you for covering the stories, making sure you get the information out on when school dates are starting, and we could not have done this without you. So publicly, we want to say how much we appreciate each and every one of you for just sharing HISD's story within the last 2 weeks. And then finally, before I introduce our next speaker, we would like to send our prayers out to the Miami-Dade County Public Schools and all the other ISDs that are affected by Tropical Storm Irma. We know that they're going through a tragedy. Some of their schools have been displaced already, and so we just want to send our prayers. And to those that evacuated to Houston, I met a couple on yesterday. Welcome to Houston. I'm sure Mayor Turner would love your tax dollars, so you can just stay right here. So now, again, thank you for being here. Now I would like to introduce a person who's been standing with us on the Senate side in Austin, who's been part of the education fight for HISD, meeting with her in Austin, you know, saying that this is going to be done, fighting for our kids, making sure funding gets to our kids, has been a strong voice for us. I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Senator Garcia.
Thank you so much, and I'm just pleased to be here this morning. Welcome to the first day of school. I know that a lot of the kids, based on the short little brief conversations we had with them, are excited to be here, right? Yes. They really are. And I think it's great that the excitement is there because it is an important day for this school district and many school districts across the areas that got hit by the Hurricane Harvey floodwaters. But I'm here to just say that the state of Texas is ready to assist any way that we can. I am a strong believer in local governments. It starts here. But we must show support to make sure that all of us working together. If you look here, we've got the mayor, the city level represented. We've got the school district level. It's important that we all work together and always make sure that the kids always come first. Because without them, there would not be a schoolhouse. There would not be anything going on today in this building. It would be nothing but a building. And education is the #1 priority for our state. It's the #1 priority for all our families. And we know it's the #1 priority for the children. So for me, I'm just pleased to be here this morning. I look forward to working with the superintendent and the mayor to continue to make sure that all our kids get back to school and also that we make sure that all their families get back to their homes and that we take care of all our populations here in Houston and Harris County. So with that, I'll be more than pleased to introduce someone really who needs no introduction today, our superintendent, Superintendent Carranza.
So thank you, Senator Garcia. I also want to thank our Board of Trustees who have been incredible during this time of crisis for us in the district and have been supported. And if you want to look at Volunteers of the Year, look no further. They have been in shelters, they have been handing out uniforms, they've been doing whatever they need to do to help us get back on our feet. And obviously I want to thank our students for being here. They're incredible, and we're glad that they're back. And I want to give my thanks as well to our mayor for being here. He'll have a few words to share with you, and we're here for two reasons that I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm going to invite you all, once we're done here, to look at the pictures that are posted in the windows coming into the library. You're going to see an adult with lots of children. That was not a staged picture. That actually took place at the George R. Brown at the height of the evacuations, when our incredible principal, Raquel Sosa, who is here in yellow. Raquel, thank you for inviting us to your house. Took it upon herself to go to the George R. Brown and see if she could find any of her students, and sure enough, she found lots of them. Teachers joined her, and before you knew it, you had school happening at the George R. Brown, and those are some selfies the students wanted to take with their principal that we're proudly displaying. That's the kind of leadership that I am so proud exists in the Houston Independent School District. But we're here for two reasons. Number one, we want to give you an update of where we are and what's happening. I'll be very brief, but then secondly, we want to talk about the partnership and the strong partnership that exists between the Houston Independent School District and the City of Houston. As our mayor often says, and we could not support this anymore, you cannot have a world-class city without a world-class public education system. And our mayor has said it, but he's done more than say it. He's actually walked the talk. So where are we? September 11th, 2 weeks later than when our school year was supposed to start. I'm very happy to say we have 268 of our schools that are up and running today. 268. Now that's impressive because we have about 280 schools in our portfolio. So to have 268 of our schools up, clean, ready to go, healthy environments for our students in 2 weeks' time, past the greatest climate event in Houston's history, says a lot about the hardworking men and women in this school district and our commitment to our students. So that's good. We also want to encourage the public on www.houstonisd.org. We have a list that you can search by school. That list is being updated almost twice a day. As schools are started to be cleared to come back, you will see a date when students will be able to come back to those schools. We're working hard to beat our September 25th date to have our entire school district back in session. But even as we are here today, our president, President Adams, alluded to the fact that teachers whose campuses have not come online are receiving training on trauma-informed curriculum, trauma-informed pedagogy, so that when they come back, they're able to receive their students, and then on a rolling basis, all teachers in the HISD will receive the same training, the same curriculum. This is going to be a year of not only incredible academic achievement, but it's going to be a year of healing. And one of the things we want all of our students and parents to know, and our staff members to know, is that we will do everything in our power to partner with whomever we need to leverage whomever we need to, and to do whatever we need to make sure that students feel safe, secure, and along the way, we're going to teach them a thing or two about the ABCs. So that's where we are, and we couldn't thank all of our partners enough for helping us get back online. NPR did a story about Houston's recovery just the other day, and it was very insightful about the approach that we've taken in Houston, which we should all be very proud of, where we wanted to get schools back up in the quickest amount of time possible while safely getting our students back up, and a comparison how other efforts perhaps have been different, and this is yielding some great results. So we're really excited about that. The second reason we're here is this. The Texas Education Agency has announced that there are 10 schools that are subject to HB 1842 sanctions in the state of Texas, which means that by August of 2018, if those 10 schools are improvement required status, if any one of those 10 schools is improvement required status, the commissioner of the Texas Education Agency can shut those schools or take other actions such as replacing the board and the superintendent. So in those conversations that we've had with those 10 schools, and we refer to those 10 schools as the superintendent schools. Yes, I'm going to be all up in their business because we are in this together. But as I have met with those 10 communities prior to Hurricane Harvey, I will tell you that however strong the winds were of Hurricane Harvey, however formidable Hurricane Harvey was, they've got nothing on those faculties and those communities who are fired up to show what they can do academically this year. So those schools, for us, there is no option but to actually show what we can do academically. But you see, the board and I cannot do this alone. The communities and I cannot do this alone. We need our partners to be part of this fight for us. What we like to think is just the path to glory at the end of the year. So one of the things that the mayor and I had talked about was to make sure that this becomes a call to action. You see, Houston is recovering. We are open for business. We're ready to go. But what we also want to make sure people understand is that the city of Houston and the Houston Independent School District are arm in arm, linked together to do whatever we need to do to support our historically underserved communities and our historically underserved schools, and make sure that we pull out all the stops to show what we can do academically. And the city is a partner with us, and we are partnering with the city to make that happen. Now, how will that happen? It's going to happen in a number of ways. You've seen the incredible work to get our schools open. That didn't happen without strong support from the mayor's staff. But as our communities come back, and we're working academically in those schools, our families and our students are going to need wraparound services. They're going to need to be connected with governmental agencies and community-based organizations, with everything from homelessness to food insecurities to food justice is what we're calling it. So because of that, every one of our students this year for the entire year are going to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have the city's support in that. We've been able to have food distribution centers across our city in 9 different communities. We've had our city's support in making that happen. And as we go forward and we're connecting families with the resources that they need so that their students can excel academically, we are going to count on the strong support of our city. But more than that, we are very proud to count on the strong support of the education mayor right here in Houston, Sylvester Turner. So he walks the talk, he does what he says, and ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know we are extremely happy to be partners with a mayor who sees us as an important plank in the business of the city, which is to educate Houston's next generation of economic providers in Houston, the next generation of future mayors and teachers and superintendents, the students that are in our schools right now, 215,000 of them. So with that, I want to say thank you for all that you have done to help get the message out to our students and our families on the return to school. But without further ado, it's a great honor for me to introduce the mayor of the greatest city in the United States, the most diverse city in the United States, a man who stands for and protects all students regardless of color, creed, sexual orientation, or immigration status. A gentleman who is a friend of our district, our mayor, my mayor, Sylvester Turner.
Look, I'm excited about the first day of school. I'm excited about the Superintendent Carranza, and I am excited about working with him and this board, President Adams, and the school board members, working with our governmental leaders. Senator Sylvia Garcia has just been on the front line for many, many years, and so I'm looking excited by that. And then Principal Sosa, what can I say? I mean, you've just inspired me. Going to the George R. Brown with your teachers and finding the students and giving them that uplift while they were at George R. Brown. And now we're at Bruce Elementary today, so come on. And then I don't want to give up too much. Julia Estepech is my Director of Education, and she's been working on a major initiative that we hope to announce real soon. I'm tempted to say something, but I'm gonna do it. But Superintendent, it's about working directly with with our schools and making a huge investment on a global level. So I'm excited about that. But look, our schools and the city are one. That's the point that I want to make. You cannot have a strong city without having strong schools. And the future of our city rests in the hands of all of these kids. And, I'm just excited. For 268 schools to be online out of 280, 2 weeks after Harvey hit, is just amazing. In fact, it's just totally incredible. And what I've said all along, we needed to get back on our feet as quickly as possible. Some probably would have preferred a slower pace. But let me just put it this way. When you go to the hospital and have surgery, they don't let you lie in that bed too long. Immediately after that surgery, they want you up and walking. And the first few days will be painful. And your tendency is to want to stay in bed until the nurses to leave you alone. But they want you up and they want you walking, with the understanding the quicker you're up, the quicker the recovery will be. Well, the same thing with this particular storm. There are some who would want to just kind of take a much more modest pace, kind of lay low, say the school's not quite open right now, but that doesn't get us where we need to be in the quickest period of time. And so I commend Superintendent Carranza and your entire staff, the board members, for moving at an expedited pace and getting the schools open. One of the students said she was a little bit scared. Well, I'm a little bit scared too. And but we're going to be scared together. The point is, this is a can-do city. And just the fact that HISD has opened 268 schools out of 280 is simply remarkable, and I want to underscore that. Let me just say that this is a time of many challenges for our city. We are still in the midst of recovery from Hurricane Harvey. But as mayor of the city, I couldn't be more proud of our citizens and how they have banded together to help one another. We have let the nation and the world know that the city is back in business. And one way of demonstrating that, for the schools to be open, for the kids to be learning, for the bands to be playing, for our athletes to be performing, nothing better than Texas football. And so, so things are moving. And even before the storm, we started talking about this months and months ago, and that will continue. I would like to take a moment to thank Superintendent Richard Carranza and all of the HISD leadership and our teachers for working together to ensure that our students could come back to school. I understand that not every student was able to start, but that's okay. We will get to them, and they will be back in school. I'll also again like to thank our elected officials and community leaders who have come today. Working together, we can achieve more for our students and the community. That goes beyond academics, particularly right now when so many of our families are trying to rebuild their homes and their lives. The remarkable thing is that many of our kids are in school on this first day, thousands of our kids. But many of them, if not most of them, are returning to homes that still need to be rehabbed. Okay? And so while they're in school, and they need to be in school, the city, along with our partners, are working to make sure that their homes are livable. And so there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that they have the supplies that they need. And let me applaud HISD for providing the 3 meals a day. Appreciate that. But we want to make sure that when they go home, that they have a home that's habitable, that's livable, and we don't want to forget anybody. No community should be left behind, and we don't want any community left behind. And so we all have a collective role to play in making sure that their lives are rebuilt. We will work together with HISD to connect schools to communities and city resources, local nonprofits, and wraparound services to ensure the social, emotional, and health needs of our students are met. And the City of Houston is proud to join forces with HISD as we lay out the plans for Achieve 180. As the superintendent mentioned, Achieve 180 is a movement that is focused on breaking down barriers, inequities, and addressing the core needs of our families. Superintendent Carranza spoke about those 10 schools. That is something that we're going to work on together. And so I'm asking for volunteers again from all across this city to join forces with HISD so that we can collectively meet the needs of those 10 schools. And just like we have conquered Harvey, okay, the very fact that this HISD is open and other school districts as well, 2 weeks since that storm hit the lower Texas coast, just like we've conquered Harvey, we will conquer the fact that we have 10 schools that need to be significantly improved. This is a can-do city, and I know it will happen, and I'm prepared to join with the HISD in doing that. As many of you know, earlier this year, the City of Houston launched Complete Communities. Similar to Achieve 180, our focus is to ensure that neighborhoods that have far long been underserved or under-resourced can be given an opportunity to thrive. And together we aim to improve the lives of all Houstonians so that they can have access to quality services and amenities. So let me just say, on the first day of school, I'm excited. I want to thank HISD and all of the other 16 others school districts that have opened their doors, that have brought in our classes. There's no better way to demonstrate to the rest of the world that this city is open than for them to see kids that are in our schools and learning. And let me just close with something that my mom often said, and that is, God will give his hardest exams to his best students. Well, over the last 2 weeks, the city of Houston has faced a pretty hard exam. Pretty hard. Didn't ask for it. It was like a pop quiz, okay? But God gives his hardest exams to his best students. Today, being at this school with the principal, Ms. Sosa, and all of her kids, some of whom were at the shelter, demonstrated that he believed we were his best students. And for that, I will be ever grateful, and I love this city more today than I loved it 2 weeks ago, because we exercise that can-do spirit. Continue to be patient, and let's work our way through it. But just like these kids have come from shelters and are back in school and still have to go home, in many cases where their homes are still not in the best of shape, I will continue to say to Houstonians, let's be patient with one another, and let's recognize that we're not going to get where we need to go overnight, but we are certainly moving at an expedited pace. And I want to thank HISD for helping to lead the way. Thank you.
That concludes, and if you have any questions, I'm going to ask Rebecca to come back up so she can guide the questions. But finally, Mayor, I want to say we have to introduce and say hello to our Food Service Director, Ms. Betty Wiggins, who's right here. The reason I'm saying that, many of you may not know, she asked for a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They gave, I think, over whatever it was able to open over 9 meal sites during the time our students were out of school. During that time, trustees was going to schools, making sure that our kids were eating. During that period of time, we were able to feed 70,000 kids who was able to eat food during that time. Yes, it was that were able to eat. So I didn't want this day to go unannounced to say, Ms. Betty, thank you for choosing Houston. Thank you for coming from Detroit to Texas. Thank you for going after money for us. Thank you for this week. I know y'all going to see more from her this week. When people come from Washington, D.C. to want to know what Betty Wiggins went to, that is something to be said. So I wanted to publicly say thank you for feeding our kids. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Miss Rebecca?
Okay, guys, do we have any questions? Go ahead. Shelby.
Wait, before I go, I'm sorry. Her boss is Brian Busby. We cannot forget Brian. Mayor and Superintendent, you all want to find out how we was able to get those 268 schools open? Because of the leadership team of this gentleman right here. He may be silent in a lot of things that he does, but it's because of his leadership and his team is why our schools are open today. Even though we have a couple that'll be delayed, but he wanted to make sure before any school opened that the air quality was done in those campuses to make sure that those schools was a safe environment for those school children to walk into. So, Mr. Busby, thank you so much for all that you've done and staying weekend after weekend after weekend and making sure that these schools get open. So we're so grateful to you because you make us look good, and I want to thank you for that as well. Rebecca?
Okay, Shelby from the Chronicle, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sort of piggyback on that question. I know, Thursday you guys were thinking maybe it would be about 202 that are open. So I'm curious about what happened to those 60 or so additional campuses and how you guys alerted parents that those would be open today.
Sure. So as we've mentioned, as school campuses are being cleared and all of the important tests are being completed, the crews that we have on that school, we now have additional people to move to other schools. So this has been a team effort, and Mr. Busby and his team have been fabulous at capitalizing on the manpower that we have available and moving them to schools. And we have a comprehensive assessment of all of the schools, and they've been just ticking their way through those schools and addressing the needs. Now, it should also be noted that we also have, I've mentioned, 9 schools that are so severely damaged that those campuses are going to have to be relocated to other sites. In some cases, they're going to be co-located with other schools. In some cases, they're going to be on vacant properties and vacant buildings. But to bring a building back online requires some significant work as well. The technological infrastructure, the furniture, the air quality and the water quality and everything has to be cleaned. So there's a ramp-up period for that as well, and that's part of why we're saying that some of our schools aren't going to be online until the 25th, but our teams are working hard to try to make that happen as well.
And how did you tell parents of those schools that may not have known they'd be open on Friday, but
Sure.
they are open today?
So every school that opens, there is going to be a work day for the teachers the day before the students come back. And if you think about it, it makes sense. So teachers have not been in those buildings, or in many cases, teachers will not have been in the building. So they need to come back, set up their classrooms, get ready for students, and then students will come back. So in every one of those cases, we have our website. I've mentioned that before, www.houstonisd.org. There's a searchable search function where you can type in the name of a school, and it will tell you when the first day is for students. But in addition to that, we're working very closely with our principals. So as a school gets cleared, the principal's notified, and all of our principals, all of our school sites have robust communication processes where our school communities communicate with each other. So the principals are notifying teachers. They're also putting it on school listservs. They're also doing phone calls. We have phone calls that we can do to just that student community. Obviously, we are utilizing all of the social media, so Facebook, Twitter is also being utilized. So we're using every mechanism possible to get the word out to students. And so far, with some exceptions, as always, but so far people have been really good about staying on top of checking those lists, and we're updating those lists almost hourly now. Yes. Yes,
So
ma'am.
what's the status of HISD's teacher population? They reported in the Chronicle that there might be as many as 300 teachers that couldn't come to work. So how are you handling that, and what's the status of it?
So we've been really sensitive about that. We've worked with our teachers union, so that number is actually about 270, which is still significant. However, what's happened is that the teachers that are currently right now getting training at another location, those teachers, as we've registered them for the professional development, of course, we know what their subject area is, where they're credentialed. So in cases of schools that open today, if there was a case of a teacher or two that could not come to that school campus, we have teachers that are already reporting back that are coming and filling in until they can come. We don't anticipate that by the 25th we will have any teachers due to Hurricane Harvey that will not be able to report. Some people just needed a little bit more time. I still have damage to my roof, and the FEMA folks are coming, so I have to be home, that kind of stuff. So we're anticipating that by the 25th, everybody will be back that can be back. I have heard, as of last night, no reports of any teachers that have been relocated outside of the city of Houston. And that was a big concern for us, because obviously if you're not here, you're not here. So we're hoping that we'll have it fully staffed by the 25th, and we anticipate much before that as well. Yes?
Are any of those 10 schools among the 9 that were heavily damaged?
Yes, they were. So in 1 or 2 cases, those schools are going to have to relocate. We anticipate, however, that most of those schools, we're going to be able to get them back to their campus within a reasonable amount of time. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about HISD's efforts to enroll children who are now homeless and parents who don't have access to things like birth certificates, and also the efforts to make sure that those kids have a way to get to school if there's no car, or if they're maybe wanting to go to school that's not within where they are anymore?
Yeah, so what we've said is the word of the year this year is going to be flexibility, and that absolutely applies to students that are homeless and families that are homeless. We all know McKinney-Vento at the federal level provides protections for students that are homeless, but we've gone beyond that. So if a student is in Houston and they happen to be close to a school, we will enroll them. Students can enroll at any school that they're close to or even near to. We will work out the logistics later of whether students want to return to their home school or not. We also are sending buses right now, or this morning, to the George R. Brown and the NRG that are transporting students to their schools as well. So we've altered some of our bus routes to provide that transportation. Over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, there's going to be a tremendous amount of flux. So we want to make sure that parents and students and the community understands that the perceived ability to get to a certain school should not be an impediment for anybody coming to school. So, it's like the old song, love the one you're with, go with the school you're near. Okay? We want you in school because once you're in school, you're going to get a supportive environment. You're going to get 3 meals. You're going to get a whole support system that will only help families as they transition back into a regular routine.
And do you have I think the last number you gave was $700 million in storm damage. Have you adjusted that number at all?
So want to be really clear about that. We're back of the envelope projecting what this entire incident's going to cost. So it's not only damages to facilities, but it's the additional bus routes that we're going to be taking. It's the additional cost in human capital. For example, people that have been working 24-hour shifts, and then so all of the costs associated with Hurricane Harvey, the event, we're anticipating at the end of the day will be somewhere close to $700 million. Now, we are also working, obviously, on very specific numbers about how much of that is facilities, how much of that is human capital, how much of that is materials and capital materials that have been lost in the storm. So those numbers will come a little later, but back of the envelope, it's going to be, when all is said and done, we're anticipating close to $700 million.
Do we know what the number is?
Have you been able to identify how many students are still living in shelters?
Say it again?
Have you been able to identify how many students at this point, HISD students, are living in shelters?
Last number I saw was about 6,000. I think that's significantly down. So I don't know exactly what that number is, but we'll follow up with you. Yes.
When it comes to just how many people showed up today, do you have any preliminary numbers about student enrollment in the campuses that were open?
Well, we have an end of the day meeting today where we have every one of our staff members at every school, and we're actually monitoring what those numbers are. So we'll have a better idea at the end of the day today what our enrollment is. I can tell you that based on the neighborhood right here at Bruce Elementary School, there was tremendous concern with if you drive the neighborhood, it's still abandoned in many cases. So we were very worried that some of our students would not be back. And according to our Principal Sosa, she says that many of those students are in fact back. So they're finding their way back, and that's a good sign for us that people will actually come back. I did want to also mention and thank, people have reached out to us and asked us from all across the country and of course locally, what can we do to support HISD? And initially, it's hard to know what you can do to support, but we've asked for clothing, new clothing. We've asked for school supplies. That has gone out nationally to our sister school districts across the country. We've also set up a fund where people can make a monetary donation to the foundation, which will allow us, as we identify needs, to actually meet those needs in a timely manner. So I want to thank everyone. I need to tell you that we've distributed over 40,000 school uniforms. Just yesterday, thanks to Radio 1 in Dallas, we received 4 semis full of brand new school materials and uniforms. We have on the road today from El Paso another 4 semis. I just got a text last night that Charlotte Mecklenburg is sending 2 semis full of brand new clothes that's already sorted, which is a big thing. So the country is responding like we've never ever seen before, and we thank you, because the next step for us is going to be to get those materials directly to schools. We had distribution sites prior to school being in session, but the next step is for us to actually get those materials right here to the schools so that they can be distributed as well. So I just want to make sure that I thank everyone from across the country, but especially Houstonians. It's incredible. Houstonians that have lost everything still coming to the distribution sites and making a donation. I had a lady come with 2 big bags from Target with comforters saying, I bought myself one and I bought 4 for you. So it's incredible the response that our Houston brothers and sisters have shown to us.
Let me just say for you, the number of children in those shelters is significantly less than 6,000.
Yeah.
In fact, you find, I think that number is far less.
It's significant.
It's way down, way down.
It's probably less than 1,500, close to 1,000, but we'll get you exact numbers in just a minute. Sí, me han pedido unas cuantas palabras. Unless, Mayor, you want to say something in Spanish? Very bilingual.
I'm trying not to upstate your superintendent, so you go right ahead.
Well done, well done. Unas cuantas palabritas en español para todos los medios de comunicación en español. Sí, como dice nuestro alcalde, Houston está ya trabajando, Houston está ya abierto para negocio. Sin embargo, aquí en el distrito independiente de Houston, hoy día abrimos de 280 planteles de escuela, abrimos 268 planteles. Es increíble, en 2 semanas tras la tormenta Harvey ya tenemos 268 planteles abiertos, limpios, seguros, listos para educar a nuestros estudiantes. Entonces es un orgullo que tengamos ese número de planteles ya listos. Sin embargo, durante los próximos días van a ver que cada día vamos a estar abriendo más y más escuelas que ya estén listas para nuestros estudiantes. Entonces vamos a pedir a la comunidad que por favor revise el sitio de internet del distrito, porque ahí va a haber información importantísima para que sepa nuestra comunidad cuándo pueden volver. También es importante que su escuela tenga su número de teléfono y que estén inscritos en los mensajes electrónicos de esa escuela, porque también por medio de teléfono y por medio de mensajes de text se va a informar a la comunidad en cuanto una escuela ya va a abrir y cuál es la fecha en donde van a volver nuestros estudiantes. Sin embargo, para todos los padres de familia, si hay necesidades acerca de vestuario para que vuelva el estudiante o materias que no tengan que han perdido las materias, no se preocupen. Nuestras escuelas están ya capacitadas y muchas de las escuelas ya tienen ellos todo, la ropa, van a tener también las materias para que un estudiante que necesite va a poder obtener esas materias. Sin embargo, a diario estamos recibiendo más y más donaciones por todos los Estados Unidos, entonces va a haber más oportunidad para nuestra comunidad y nuestros estudiantes que tengan ellos esas necesidades para volver a las clases. El último punto es que es importante que en donde estén, no importa si estén en un lugar de refugio, no importa si están con unos parientes quedándose ahí con ellos, lo importante es que los estudiantes vengan a la escuela, los estamos esperando. Y las reglas acerca de dónde se pueden inscribir son flexibles. Lo que queremos es que los estudiantes vuelvan a las escuelas en donde van a recibir una bienvenida de adultos como nuestra directora aquí en esta escuela, que los están esperando ansiosamente para darles servicios. También van a recibir aquí en las escuelas 3 comidas al diario, el desayuno, el lonche y la cena. Entonces es un buen ambiente y para nuestra comunidad están bienvenidos. Y para nuestra comunidad hispanoparlante, el señor alcalde y yo estamos aquí con también los miembros de la mesa directiva de este distrito y con nuestra senadora. para asegurarles a todos, que no se les requiere ningún documento para inscribirse a la escuela. Ninguno. Con el simple hecho de que vienen a inscribirse y viven y radican aquí en Houston, están bienvenidos, queremos que vengan. Entonces no va a haber redadas en nuestras escuelas. Sin embargo, al contrario, no vamos a dejar que eso pase en nuestras escuelas. Los queremos, los esperamos y aquí queremos verlos en la escuela lo más pronto posible. Sí.
It's important for you to come to school. We're going to be serving 3 meals a day. You need not stay at home. DACA is not going to stop anyone from making sure that all of our kids are educated and we work for them.
Quiero que sepas. Speak a lot of Spanish, sir.
Are there one more question?
Any other questions?
I have one for the mayor, actually.
Sure.
In terms of debris removal, could you update us as to where we are? Did we get the agreement?
That is a number one priority. We are working every day, including Saturdays and Sundays. We're out there today. We are adding we're adding contractors every day. We're ramping up even more. So more contractors are coming online every day. San Antonio, we entered into mutual aid agreements with other cities, so San Antonio is already on the ground. Austin is on the ground as of yesterday, and so we're looking at some other cities as well. The initial thought was, people saying it's going to take 3 months to clean up this debris. That is unacceptable, for me. And so we are expediting our pace. What I will say to individuals, this is now just 2 weeks since the storm, but we are working in every sector. What I can say, I don't think any city would be able. I think it's going to be an unprecedented cleanup, but that is a high priority. Number one is for all this debris to be out there. If it stays out there too long, it becomes a public health hazard. Number two, the longer it's out there, it's a reminder of the storm. And so we want to get that stuff out. But we recognize it's going to take about 3 passes, because even areas where we have already hit, people have come back and many people are emptying their homes. Okay, so it's going to take round 1, round 2, and then round 3. But that is a number one priority. There will be plenty of contractors that we are bringing on board. We're pushing the pace. Okay.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.